Hey guys, Justine here from Skincare by Justine. Today we're going to be kind of doing an educational video where I'm going to be explaining sort of what products I'm using and why. This is my husband, my little guinea pig here. And we have Christina here today, and she's going to just be shadowing and asking questions because she just became an esthetician, and we're going to help her learn skin. So I'm going to start here. All right. Are you comfortable, sir?
I am.
Okay. So Tavis is an acneic skin type. He has a dull acne. He's very oily as well. So you'll notice, if you want to bend over, sorry, turn your head, dude. So see how big his pores are on his nose? You can see them. You can see them from here, right? Mm-hmm. So that means that he's an oily skin type. People that are really over oily will have larger pores on their nose. Mm-hmm. He's also a darker Fitzpatrick, even though he looks like a lighter Fitzpatrick. Mm-hmm. So if you looked at Tavis normally, you would think that he was a Fitz 1 because he's so fair-skinned. Mm-hmm. And he's got a little tan left from the summer, but he's generally fair-skinned than even me. Mm-hmm. But he's half Portuguese. Okay. So he's got the red hair, he's got the fair skin, but he's got more collagen in his skin than someone who, like for me, for instance, I don't have any sort of background of like Portuguese, Italian, Mediterranean, African American, Cape Verdean. So anyone that has any of that in their family history is going to be a darker Fitzpatrick right out the bat. Okay. They're going to be more prone to hyperpigmentation. They're going to be more prone to PIH, and we have to be a little bit more careful when we're doing things so that we don't cause that PIH, because we can cause it while we're doing a facial on someone who is a darker Fitzpatrick. So with him, he's so fair-skinned, but he tans really well. Mm-hmm. He very, very rarely burns, and if he does burn, it turns into a beautiful tan, and he gets pretty dark in the summer. Mm-hmm. It's kind of a crazy phenomenon. With Fitzpatricks, we want to just make sure that we know exactly their familial history. Mm-hmm. Do you have any Mediterranean in you? Do you have anything like that? Because that's super important. Excuse me. The other thing to consider too is Asian skin. Asian skin tends to also have more collagen, be more plump. That's why people with darker Fitzpatricks age better, mm-hmm. is because they have more collagen and elastin in their skin than, say, me. Okay. Their skin is a little bit thicker, it's a little bit more plump, and they're going to age better than someone who is A1, like mm-hmm. me. So, do you have any questions about that?
I don't think so.
Okay. So he tans really, really well. But me, if I go in the sun, I burn immediately. Mm-hmm. I'm a Fitz 1. Mm-hmm. Okay? And the Fitzpatrick scale goes from 1 to 6. Mm-hmm. 6 is going to be your really darker African American. But because we're a melting pot, this country, we've got so many mixed races, and so people they don't always look their Fitzpatrick. Okay. So I like to stress that, because that Fitzpatrick is so important, because you can mark someone up with hyperpigmentation if you're not careful. Mm-hmm. So just making sure that you ask those questions of like, hey, do you have any Mediterranean, Portuguese, anything, your background? You'll be surprised. Some people will be like, oh, I'm half black, and they look completely white, and you're like, oh, I wouldn't even have known. Mm-hmm. So there's going to be those sneaky Fitzpatricks. Mm-hmm. I have a few where people, they just have a kind of a little bit of a tan, and you're like, oh, okay, so do you have Portuguese? And they're like, oh no, I'm half Armenian. And you're like, oh my god, okay, well then we have to be careful. Mm-hmm. Okay? So let's, I'm going to take out my little water to start here. Excuse the coughing, guys. I just got over COVID. So I always use a enzyme cleanser on everybody to start. Okay. So I use the Lira Clinical Bioenzyme Cleanser. So I like starting with an enzyme cleanser because enzymes eat dead tissue. So they don't really touch the live cells. That's going to be something to learn later with peels. But enzymes are going to eat the dead cells off his face, soften his skin. It's going to help me get into it a little bit better. I always start everybody with an enzyme cleanser because I don't usually double cleanse. If someone comes in with a full face of makeup, I will double cleanse. If it's necessary, I will, but I don't want to dehydrate his skin because I'm generally doing more aggressive treatments, and I don't want to start out with strip skin.
Right.
So some people, some estheticians like, oh, you got to do a double cleanse for everyone. I disagree. It just depends on what they got going on. So I just take a little bit of water from my bowl and I just go like this and get it in my hand, like that. One pump, and then I get it all up in here. All right. You let me know if you get uncomfortable anytime, okay? So usually I'd start down on the neck, so I'm going to start, but we're going to go down his hair, okay? First we want to get the soap all over his face. So you want to do, so usually here, here, and here, and then you can get it all lathered. And is this comfortable, honey? So Tavis does have a home care routine. He's not diligent with it though. So he does use some retinol because he has some scarring from acne when he was younger. And so he's already using a tyrosinase inhibitor every day, which is the retinol. Retinol is an antioxidant, but it's also a tyrosinase inhibitor, so it's going to help with pigmentation, hyperpigmentation, especially him being a darker Fitzpatrick. So I know that I can do certain things on him today that his skin is prepped for because he uses a tyrosinase inhibitor at home. So darker Fitzpatricks, is a lot of times it's good to get them on like a vitamin C for a few weeks before we do any peels and things like that, because that vitamin C is going to have, it's going to lower the tyrosine in the skin, and so that's the pigmentation. So a tyrosinase inhibitor, basically so tyrosine is the mechanism that makes PIH, and vitamin C and other there's a bunch of different tyrosinase inhibitors. They will keep pigmentation from forming. So I already know that he's on a tyrosinase inhibitor, so I can be a little bit more aggressive with his skin because I know that he's not going to pop a big PIH spot because of that. But that's even more important with people who are even darker Fitzpatricks. And I just want to get in his little beard because it probably feels good or something. Alright, let's towel this bro off. So a lot of times when I'm toweling people off, I just kind of sit for a second. I usually try to think of like positive vibes for the person. A lot of people that come in are stressed out, they're tired, they're overworked, especially, we're post-pandemic, everything's crazy. So I just kind of try to like think nice thoughts when I do the towel, almost like trying to kind of connect the mind a little bit. So I always just kind of have a little quiet little prayer to myself when I do the towel that I want to give the people good vibes and things like that. So see, I'm going down on his hair, and I'm not going up.
Right.
I'm going down. He's got a breakout right there. I'm gonna we're gonna torture him today. All right. So with him, I'm gonna want to start with microdermabrasion. for reasons that I explained earlier, but I'll explain it again. Microdermabrasion is an amazing prep for the skin for almost kind of any treatments. I pair it with so many other things. But I like to do it because it gets that layer of dead cells off. We've now done the enzyme cleanser, that's removed some of it. Now we're going to remove the rest of the cells, the dead cells on the skin with the microdermabrasion. So microdermabrasion has suction to it, and the one that I use is called diamond tip. There's two forms of microdermabrasion. There's diamond tip and then there's crystals. And crystals is when the crystals come out of the machine, they go onto the skin and they get sucked up. I don't use that kind. Mine is diamond tip, so my attachments have little diamond chips on the outside of it. That's what does the exfoliation. And we want to do it in an upward direction on the skin because the skin lays like shingles. So when you're looking at skin from back here, I want you to think of them laying like this, like they're like shingles on a house. So we want to go up to really get them off. Okay. Does that make sense? Yep. Okay. So first I'll sit here and I'll do this to see where the suction goes. I want it to go right kind of below 15. But not higher, because then that'd be too high. And another thing to consider is mature skin. It can be like tissue paper. You have to be super careful with mature skin, especially if they have like COPD or something, their skin is really thin. With microdermabrasion, you can just do one line and you bruise them. So that's, you just got to be careful with that. This won't happen with him. He's got nice, thicker, oily skin, so. All right, so I always start here. And I just go upwards, and that's it. Just go up in this direction. You want to make sure that this is flat to parallel to the skin. And you want to hold the skin taut so that it's not flapping all over the place on you. And with men, with receding hairlines, you want to go all the way up to where their hair is. So because we're doing microdermabrasion and his hair is longer, I'm going to go downwards instead of upwards. Okay. But most people, you're going to go up because you want to get that shingle, those cells. But with him, because his hair is longer, we're going to go down because it'll be uncomfortable for him probably. You can just go right over the hair. It's not going to pull the hair out or anything. So we don't want to force the eye skin down too much. You can do it a little bit for certain things, but around the eye, you generally want to go in an upward direction. Okay. So you can see the skin is flaking off up here. So this machine does do suction, but it's not really to suck anything out of the pores. It's more to bring blood flow to the skin and suck up any debris that collects off of the skin. So some people think microdermabrasion will suck like blackheads out of the face. It won't. It won't. It's just a physical exfoliation that buffs the dead cells off the skin. It doesn't really affect the live ones. It will make the cells turn over, so you can occasionally get a peel with it, but it's very unlikely. And actually, if you in the future decide you want to do lymphatic drainage, which I do not do, we can do it with this machine too. Okay. We can get an attachment for it. Normally I do his neck, but not today. Sorry, honey. So, with these you want to get the filter out, so I always take a little waxing stick, just pop it out like that. Now I want to put this back in here. This one. Just put this water away so it stays nice and warm. so now we're going to use this to go around the eyes and the nose and the lips.
Mm-hmm.
We always want to make sure that we do the lips, especially for females, because we get those lines around the mouth.
Mm-hmm.
And we want to kind of buff those out and keep the skin softer and kind of, I don't know how to explain it other than that. But so we always want to just make sure that we also do the lips. But when I start here, I start around the eye. I always start on the right eye, so I start in the corner here.
Mm-hmm.
We want to be gentle with pressure around the eyes.
Mm-hmm.
Very gentle, way more gentle than the rest of the face.
Okay.
I just kind of just lightly go around, and I start here
Mm-hmm.
on this, on his ocular bone here.
Mm-hmm.
Go around. Now, crow's feet tend to come all the way out here. He doesn't have any, but we want to make sure that he stays that way. So we're going to go all the way out here. And then a lot of people will get wrinkles up here on their brow bone as they get older. So I also go down a little bit on this corner here. And then I kind of work my way a little bit closer to the eye as I go. And then I get pretty close. Regenerate's really the only thing that's going to go up to the lower lash line. This does get close, but we don't want to go all the way up to the lower lash line because it's so sensitive.
Right.
So you start on this side, same thing. I'm going to go around his... So now I'm going to do his nose. So I start here again, kind of come out this way, and then we're going to go right up onto his nose. Go right in there, kind of right in that crevice. And again, with him, because we're not working on this lower part of his face, I'm going in an upward direction because I want to get those cells that are laying like shingles. So for the nose, we're going to go in an upward direction. So that's towards yourself. How you doing, babe? Good. So you see all that kind of like flaking and stuff? That's all from the microdermabrasion. Those are all dead cells. So now we're going to go, so the lips, we do the lip line. So you want to do the vermilion border, which is the outside line of the lips. Usually start at the bottom. I pull the lip down taut,
Okay.
so that we don't have it all loose, and I go in this direction. With people smoking, a lot of people smoke or even vape, that they have those lines around the mouth or they're going to get them. So then on his top lip, because I want to make sure I get his vermilion border, I'm going to go underneath his mustache a little bit. While I'm holding taut over here. The other thing that I just want to kind of tell you, that if he were a regular person, no. If he were, let's say, a woman, because if we were not working with hair, when you are doing it and you're going up like this, I will show you again on somebody else where I can really show it to you, but you're always holding, like my fingers are always holding the skin taut here when I'm going up like this.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And you're moving your hand and you're moving the fingers and you're pulling the skin as you go. So that it's always taut.
Yeah.
You don't want the skin to ever be loose when you're doing anything with suction, because you can bruise them and give them a little hickey, and obviously that's not fun for most people. Alrighty, so now what I want to do, because he hasn't had a facial in forever, is that we want to do desincrustation. So now we've used the enzyme cleanser to soften his skin and eat dead cells. We've done microdermabrasion. Now what we're going to do is we're going to mix a little bit of Lotan Pro green tea hydration powder. So this is a powder. It's made of green tea. It's pretty amazing. I use it, so I use a lot of things off how would you say that? I use things that they're not generally made for, but they work for other things.
Okay.
So the green tea hydration powder from Lotan is usually used for like a hydration mask.
Mm-hmm.
I use it for dust incrustation because if you study the ingredients in products and you know your science and you know why and how something works, you know what you can use it for. So green tea hydration powder, when mixed with water, will waterlog any dead cells that are left on his face.
Okay.
So any that we missed are going to waterlog, and then we're going to go in with a skin scrubber to clean it out.
Okay.
The skin scrubber is going to, the vibrations going to bring out his pore debris to the surface so that we can get rid of it. And we're going to kind of scoop off any dead cells. Yeah, so let's do that. So I'm just going to put a little bit in there, probably like this much. And then some water. This is distilled water. Doesn't need to have tons of water. You do want to make sure that there is definitely at least water though, enough, because the heat, especially from the vents, will make it gel and solidify.
Okay.
So this solidifies. So we want to kind of not do it quickly, but we want to just get it onto the skin before it solidifies in our bowl.
Mm-hmm.
So just mix it up. And so this is water, so this is thin, so we want to just make sure we get a little extra off the brush before we put it on his face so he's not dripping.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing, longer hair, so we're going to go down. I would normally go up.
Okay.
Ooh, that's a nice blackhead that I'm going to get. He's fun. He's got all sorts of hidden gems in here. So I like this as dust incrustation because it's also hydrating at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas usually with dust incrustation we use baking soda,
Okay.
and that is very alkaline, so it's, you know, not my favorite.
Mm-hmm.
If I have someone that has a lot of blackheads that are really stuck in there and I can just not get them out, I will put a little bit of baking soda water on it to pop them out.
Okay.
But generally I don't really need them. I stopped using steam in the beginning of the pandemic
Mm-hmm.
because the aerosols from the steam bacteria can cling to it, and then it makes it more easily inhaled.
Okay.
And with me having comorbidities and stuff, I kind of learned how to not use steam anymore. A lot of estheticians did. So then now we have like all my magical devices here.
Mm-hmm.
These two are skin scrubbers.
Okay.
This is also a skin scrubber. This is the more expensive, better one, so we're going to use this one today.
Okay.
So take that off. This charges in the back.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to go to clear. So there's exfoliate, clear, and apply. We've already kind of done exfoliation. We've done micro. We've done a little bit of enzymes. So we're just going to go to the clear. So you're going to go hit the power button until it goes to clear. Can you hear it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So I take a paper towel. I fold it in half because it's going to be wet and gross. Put this here. So normally I would do his neck, but I'm not gonna today because he's all hair. But you would start here and you would go upwards like this.
Okay.
So you want, see how this bends a little bit forward?
Yeah.
You want that to be on the top.
Okay.
So I don't want to go upwards, but I feel like I want to show you how it works. But let me see. So this one you would go in upward direction too, because you want to get those cells up because of his hair.
Mm-hmm.
You're a terrible model. No. And see how all this is coming out?
Yep.
So a lot of this is going to be the green tea hydration powder, but it's also the vibrations are breaking up this pore debris. You'll see it more on the nose. Here, we're going to go up. See my finger I'm holding is skin taut while I'm doing it. This can go right around the eye. I try to kind of work towards the nose and then leave the nose for last because it's juicy. Some people, if they're a little dry, their skin will soak the stuff up.
Okay.
Yeah, we gotta get a female in here so I can actually really show you the more, what you'd be doing more so. So I wipe the bacteria and the stuff off the blade as I go. And we want to hold it, you don't want to hold it like this.
Yeah.
You want to hold it like this because we're going to be pushing upward on the skin. And we want to get under those cells so that we can pop them off basically. Now let's do this nose. Alright, so when I do the nose, I start down in the lower, around the nostril. You want to be really kind of gentle when you're going around here because the sides of the nose are very sensitive. That's going to be where you're going to have flinching and stuff, so you want to be gentle. You're not giving me gold today, babe. So you see how white that is? So that's all bacteria.
Okay.
It's not bacteria, actually. Sorry. Rewind. That's a sebum from my pores. You'll see, too, every once in a while, there'll be little white specks in what comes out, and that's bacteria.
Okay.
And you just want to kind of go with the curves of his nose. You can go downward like this, okay? That's fine too. See? And then right here is where a lot of stuff collects, so I just make sure I go over that a few times. I'll even bring the corner, the edge of the skin scrubber right up that little crevice there to kind of get whatever's in there. Alright, so we're going to turn this off. Usually there's so much more than this. Like, he's not a good candidate. I'm sorry, honey. No offense. I love you, but I should have had a woman. So, so I take my disinfectant and I spray both sides of the scrubber, okay? And I wipe it off because we're possibly going to use this again to penetrate serum.
Okay.
So this will bring out pore debris, but it will also penetrate serums as well. So you can use that for ultrasound.
Cool.
Okay? Let's see. So now so we've done lots of exfoliation. We did an enzyme exfoliation. We did microdermabrasion. We just did exfoliation with the skin scrubber. So that's what I mean when I say that that's why I don't double cleanse, because we're just doing lots of exfoliation. Now that we've done all that exfoliation, and especially because I don't use steam, I want to plump up his skin and get it hydrated so that I can do extractions more comfortably.
Okay.
So the way that I do that is I take my little bowl, and I take this Lotan HA hydration gel. This has hyaluronic acid in it, and it's also got honeysuckle and a few other humectants. So hyaluronic acid binds water to the skin. It holds 1,000 times its weight in water in one drop. So that's why we use hyaluronic acid. It's also found naturally in the body. We have it in our joints and in our corneas, and it depletes with age, just like collagen and elastin. So collagen and elastin are not the only things that deplete with age that we have to be a little bit aware of. Another one to keep in mind is polysaccharides. Postmenopausal women will have less polysaccharides in their skin, and polysaccharides help them bind water. But that's for another time. So when I do this for the client, I mix different serums in with this gel depending on what they need.
Okay.
He has a little bit of acne, so we're going to use a little bit of oxygen serum, which these don't always squirt out, so sometimes I just undo them, the cap, and just kind of get it to come out. So I want to get about like a nickel size of oxygen serum into here. If I can. I have a new one coming in. Where did I just? Oh, there we go. Okay. I use lots of oxygen here because oxygen is going to renew the cells. It's going to heal. It's just an amazing asset for our skin. It does so many different things, and then it's also great for killing bacteria. So sometimes if you have someone that you've used a lot of oxygen on, if they're not a candidate for high frequency because they're a darker Fitzpatrick, the oxygen itself is going to help kind of kill the bacteria in the skin. Okay? He also has, he's prone to hyperpigmentation because he's a Fitz 3. So I'm going to put a little bit of Claritone in there, which is a skin, it's like a vitamin C serum, except this one is for targeting lightening. So this is like a hydroquinone free skin lightener.
Okay.
Hydroquinone, I don't use hydroquinone in my practice because it can cause cancer.
Okay.
It's illegal in most countries. For some weird reason, it's legal here. I do not use it. So this is like a hydroquinone free lightener for me. And I just do 3 squirts. If he had big, like, age spots or big parts of, like, so that's a little hyperpigmented right there, you see that? I would take this, so this is Pro Light Brightening Concentrate by Lotan Pro. I'm going to shake it up, and you press this bottom here, and it comes out. So can you see?
Yep.
So I'm going to just drop a little bit there, and then I'm going to tap it into the skin. Since we're penetrating things now, that's going to get penetrated with everything else.
Okay.
So that would be where that would be the time where I would treat age spots or anything like that.
Okay.
And we are going to do extractions, but we're going to do it after we penetrate this because his skin's going to be all plump and hydrated, so everything's going to come out so much easier. It's going to be a lot less painful for him and easier for us, less frustrating. So usually, you just got to remember to go to the hairline with men with receding hairlines. We're just going to kind of put this everywhere. This is not something that can be overused that would cause any issues. So I go right around the eye to the lower lash line. I go on the above lid too a little bit.
Okay.
So for men with beards, we want to stick to like gel consistency products. So for a mask, I wouldn't use a clay mask on him because it would get trapped in the hair. So just if you do a male client, you just want to keep that into consideration of like what's going to be so difficult to get out of the hair, what's going to be easier. The oxygen serum and the Claritone is by Dermamed Solutions, which is DM Skincare. I just forgot to mention that, so I just wanted to throw that one out there so people know what I'm using. And because it's wintry, fallish, I also have a hyaluronic acid booster, which I used the rest of. So this is an intense, it's like a intense hyaluronic acid. This would make the skin even more hydrated and plump. So if you get someone that's got really dehydrated skin or their skin's really dry, especially during the winter, you can put a few squirts of this into this gel and paint it on, and it will make it even more hydrated and soft. He doesn't need that though, because he's not. He's gonna. We're severely ignoring his neck today. So now I want to penetrate this into his skin. So I want to go to apply. So I'm going to hit this power button. And then just see here. Yep. It does sound different from the skin scrubber part. Okay, that's got a little different. So this we would be doing the neck as well, but because of him, you know. I'm gonna start here. So this is going to use these vibrations to kind of help pat this into his skin. And the ultrasound on it is going to make his skin accept it a little bit better. So we're going to kind of go over this until his skin starts to get sticky and plump. Once I get resistance on this is when I know I'm kind of getting close to being done. So we want to get the skin to be all plump and hydrated so that it's kind of sticky. Go over the nose last, because while I'm doing the rest of the face, the nose is kind of absorbing the gel that's on it. So with this, with skin scrubbing, you want the blade to be pointed upwards towards you. For penetrating, you want to use the other side and lay it flat.
Okay.
Am I explaining this good enough? Okay.
Absolutely.
Sorry, I'm just like giving you way, I'm like overloading you with
No, it's
information. It takes a few minutes, but you'll start to see it kind of disappearing. The skin's going to plump up, and then you'll eventually get resistance where you're trying to pull it and it's getting stuck on the skin. That's when you know that you've got them nice and plump. The more hydrated the skin, the easier it is to do extractions. Some people come in with really dehydrated skin and you won't be able to get anything out, and you'll have to treat that before you can even do them on them. So you'll have to send them home, work on the barrier, soften the skin and things before you even do it. I also have some people that when I do extractions, they tend to try to push themselves into the bed away from me. People like that, I usually actually don't do extractions on them unless I absolutely have to, because it's not really worth it to me, and it's counterproductive because they're trying to get away from me.
Right.
So this is going to hydrate his skin, but also re-support his skin's barrier, because we changed the pH of the skin with all this exfoliation, and this is going to help support his skin's barrier and sit in its place until his own skin barrier starts working for itself again. So that's basically what Moisturizer is. It sits in place of the skin's barrier until the skin's barrier can replenish itself. So whenever we do an exfoliation or we do a cleanse, we strip off that barrier, which is a little bit of sweat and a little bit of sebum. It lays on top of the skin cells, and on top of that lies the bugs that keep our skin healthy, the fungus and bacteria. But when that barrier gets stripped between the cells and the bugs, then the bugs can just walk right into the skin, and then we got fungal infections and bacterial infections and things. So that's why we want to always keep the skin barrier supported before they leave here. We don't ever want to do anything aggressive and then just have the person leave, because their skin's going to get dry, angry, and dehydrated. I always support the skin's barrier after every treatment. So a lot of people, if they come in and I talk to them about their home care routine. So first of all, nobody's perfect and nobody keeps up with their skincare routine regularly. They try their best, and that's all I ever ask. Even I get tired at the end of the day and don't want to do mine. So I try to be realistic. Not go by what I would ideally want them to do, but what they're actually going to do.
Right.
Because then that's going to help me in the long run. So I'm getting a little bit of resistance now. So my skin scrubber's getting a little stuck, which is exactly what I want. So his skin has accepted that. Turn this off. Now I'm gonna put little goggles on him because we're gonna put on a bright light. So we're gonna look at him under our lamp. This is my lovely lamp. I'm getting a new one. This one's kind of not working great. It works, it's just the thing is getting loose. So I'm gonna get a big floor one.
Okay.
But for now, this is the one that I have. Alright. So remember, you can always move the bed.
Okay.
I move the bed all the time. I would say move it slowly and maybe warn your client the first time you're going to do it because they're not expecting it. So what I'm kind of looking for here is kind of right out the bat, I'm looking for breakouts. I'm looking for blackheads. He has a blackhead here. He has pitted scarring because he had acne when he was younger, so he's got these divots in his skin, and that can collect debris. So there's a lot of like, even though, so this right here is a blackhead, you can see the black.
Yeah.
But there's going to be other stuff too that's hidden that you're not really going to see at first. And that's because he has this pitted scarring. A lot of people have that pitted scarring from acne, and it is treatable. Green Power, collagen induction can treat it, and also retinol for home care is really great for acne scarring, especially that pitted scarring. His used to be so much worse. So I'm looking for that. I'm also looking for anything that looks suspicious that I would want them to go to get checked by a doctor. So I sometimes will check behind their ears for skin cancer because that's a common place for it to hide. He's got a little breakout there. So I'm kind of just in my mind going through his skin and making like a mental note of what I want to go back in after to get out for him. He's got a mole here, that's just a regular mole. Alright, let's get some cheese out of this guy's face. I have a favorite extractor I use for like everybody because I have a million of them and it's like the only one that I actually like, which is very bizarre, but that's okay. This is my favorite extractor.
Okay.
And I don't ever use this end, I always use this end. And this is the one I actually got in school.
Oh, wow.
I don't know, it works for me. So first we're gonna, let's focus here on this blackhead here. So when we put pressure on it, we want to come from the top because remember, shingles. So everything's going to be coming out this way. So we want to put pressure from the top here, a little bit, and then see it squeezing out. See? Usually I'll take a little cotton round and just collect my little jewels on there. It's probably still got stuff in it, so I'll go in a second time just to make sure that we got it all, and I'll go in a different direction. Just, oh, see, there's a little surprise there. There's a little pore underneath it that spit out stuff at me, so. He hasn't had a facial in probably a year, so that's why his is so bad. That's why I was like, he'll be a good candidate for this because he's a gold mine. So I also look in the corners of the mouth. So a lot of people will eat greasy food like chips and stuff, and they get little like clogged pores in the corners of their mouth. So I always look in the corners of their mouth. don't be afraid to touch them and feel the skin if you need to. And just remember, this can hurt. And if he was not prepped, meaning he wasn't on a tyrosinase inhibitor for home care, I wouldn't want to put as much pressure because then I could leave a little mark from the extractor on his skin that's PIH, which is post-inflammatory hyperpigmentation.
Yeah.
So if I didn't know him, this is his first time here, and I didn't know what he was using for home care, I would make sure to be more gentle, especially around the nose because that's where you're gonna leave. If you can leave marks there too. I've never left a mark on someone, but I've seen it, and it's not nice. So let's go at this nose. All right. So he actually doesn't have a ton of blackheads on his nose, but we just want to come on the top of them. So I always want to kind of come in the top and kind of push it out from underneath that shingle. Does that make sense? Yep. Okay. I have very weird, like, examples, I guess is the way to say it.
No, it makes sense. I can visualize it. So.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to do, is to get you to be able to visualize it. So, even though he doesn't have blackheads, because he's got these larger pores, I can generally squeeze stuff out of it, and so that's what I want to do. I'm just kind of doing a little cleaning. It's common, especially for men, but also women, to have hair growing out of their nose, and Tavis is one of them. The nose is just so weird and awkward because of how it's shaped. Your nose actually looks pretty good. Oh yes, pocket full of fun. I knew where it was. So he always has this little pocket here of like blackheads in this scar. So you see this pitted scar? So these little 3 black dots are blackheads, and then that's the scar. So we're gonna put pressure. So he kind of always has this over here. So I'm going to start in this scar here to push a little bit out. Oh, see, it came out the top. There we go. I knew that was there. That's why I looked right for it, but sometimes you gotta look for them and find them. He always has this little pocket here. And I can actually still see that there's some blackhead in there. It still looks a little black to me, so I'm going to just put a little bit of extra pressure. So, blackheads, do you know what they are?
Yeah, it's like the sebum and everything that's kind of oxidized.
Yep.
So it's the oxidation that you see as like the black part of it.
Exactly, yep. So we have these things in our pores that line our pores called sebaceous filaments. They're kind of almost like a lubrication to get the oil up to our skin. And when those sebaceous filaments are exposed to oxygen, they turn black, and that's what a blackhead is. So you're absolutely right. So basically, sebaceous filaments are there for a reason. They're important to the skin. A lot of people see that as like, oh, that stuff comes out, and so it must be a breakout. It's not. That's supposed to be in there. But people love to they want to get rid of it because they know that it's there. But it actually is helpful to the skin to have them. But yeah, they do get that, when they get oxidized, they turn black. So it's just like a little sebum plug. And we get it up out of the skin and then it replaces itself. I know he eats a lot of greasy food and like chips and stuff because I ate it with him, so I'm looking on the corners of his mouth. He's very prone to get breakouts right here, so I always just double check here to make sure that I don't see anything. And I know that because I live with him. Okay. Everything looks good. I don't see anything else that I'm concerned about. Just check in between his hair, because they do tend to get breakouts in their hair, and we want to get that all cleaned out and get the bacteria out for it. We're going to do some high frequency on him too to kill any bacteria that's in his beard as well.
Okay.
So everything looks good. Let me see this guy. I don't think there's anything. Just putting a little bit of pressure, see if anything comes out, and something did. So it's a little bit of bacteria. Alright, so the torture part is over. So now I'm going to spray him with oxygen spray because we got bacteria up out of his pores. It got onto other parts of his face. So that's one thing too, is when we do extractions, is that we're getting bacteria up and out, but it's also, we are trying to get it off the skin, but it has the potential to also affect other pores. So if you ever see like a breakout that has multiple heads, usually if it's not a bacterial infection, that's what happened. Bacteria came out of the pore, it went into the pores next to it and infected that.
Okay.
That can happen. That absolutely can happen, and he's actually someone that it happens to a lot. He'll get multi-head pustules. Alrighty. How you doing, hun? Alright, so we're going to take our spray. So, I'm a hot mess. I've been sick, everybody, so I'm a little bit of a hot mess. So with this is the on button. So this is the Hydra is the hydrodermabrasion.
Okay.
Oxygen is oxygen, which we're going to do. So you're going to hit that. The green is for the oxygen.
Okay.
Okay. And I'm going to take this cover off. And for him, because he's an acneic type, I'm going to use the Detox.
Okay.
Which is this one. These are a little crazy, but you want to squirt it in there gently. Fill it up about halfway. I leave the cap off so that I remember to sanitize that.
Okay.
Kind of like just says like, oh, we used it, it's got the cap off. So this is the start and the stop for the hydro and the oxygen. And then you can adjust this end tip, and this is what decides how much comes out. I usually test it on my arm to just make sure that I know kind of how it's coming out. And I like that. I'm going to actually do his neck this time. So with this, I used to be a hairdresser, so I'm good at covering the ears, but you want to just make sure that you don't spray it in their ears. Then I come up under the eye, and then I want to get the entire cheek. And then I come around here on the chin. Same thing this way, up this way, around the eye, because this has hyaluronic acid in it and stuff, so we want to plump up that eye area. Get the whole cheek. We want to do the forehead. And then we want to go over the nose, but just quickly. So I'm going to go over your nose, babe. Because it feels like being waterboarded. So you just do it quickly, and I always warn the person, just so that they know. You don't ever want to aim it this way, because you'll go shoot it right up their nose. Yep. So you always just keep that in mind. Turn it off. This needs to be cleaned after every person because you have to pull it, to touch this thing to get it in there. What time is it? Let me just make sure we're not running over. Oh, shit. It's alright, we're coming to the end anyway. Alright, so now I want to just penetrate this oxygen into his skin. Okay, so I'm going to go back to the apply. And we're just going to do the same thing we did with the hyaluronic acid gel. We're just going to penetrate it into his skin. It's got a little bit of swelling there, that's normal. So we put a lot of pressure to get that blackhead out. And this doesn't hurt them at all, the ultrasound. It should not. So this is when you're going, so this is an instance when you're going down around the eye. It's when you're coming off the forehead like this. So I generally go up and then I'll do a little bit here. Sometimes I'll even go right over the brow if I have gel in there, which I do, to get it into the top lid. You need to trim your brows, dude. Getting a little wildly crazy. We want to get around all the crevices of the nose because we want to kill any bacteria, because normally you probably would have done extractions around the nose. And because he's an acneic skin type, we're going to do high frequency as well. I'm just moving this out of my way. He doesn't have any like active breakouts except for maybe this one, and it's already healing, so I'm not going to zap him at all today. We're just going to do the overall with the mushroom probe. So all the probes are in this box and I keep them in here. Just put this in here. We're doing violet because we're going to kill bacteria. So it's purple. You want to make sure that you see that purple. When you touch it, it makes that sound, because mine can be a little finicky. So when you go to, actually, I'm getting ahead of myself. Pause. Let me get some glasses. So when we're doing high frequency, like I mentioned before, we want the probe to sit a little bit off of the skin so that we get that antibacterial ozone around the top of the probe. So I'm going to unfold this. Usually, if it's a new client, I'll ask them if they have issues with claustrophobia, and then if they say yes, I'll explain that they can see through it, they can breathe through it, everything's fine. Okay. My mom's claustrophobic, so I learned that one the hard way. Oh, no. All right, so you can just kind of start anywhere. I'm going to start, and I'm going to go down. So we're just gliding it across the gauze. We want to get the T-zone especially because that's where a lot of bacteria is. Get all the way up to the hairline. We want to go up onto the nose. I'm going to just kind of go over the beard a little bit. Kill bacteria that's in there. So when we're doing high frequency, so when we go to start, before you touch the probe to their face, you want to touch it yourself. Okay. Touch their skin, let go of your finger. Now it's going to their skin. Okay. because if you don't have your finger on it, you put it down, you can shock them, which it's not gonna hurt them, but like it's not comfortable.
Right.
So you always want to make sure your finger's touching it until you touch the skin, then you release your finger and then you move it.
Okay.
So if you have to lift it up for any reason, you're gonna do the same thing, finger on it and then finger off.
Okay.
Okay? This goes in disinfectant as well as this extractor. These two guys are going to get cleaned. So we'll put them there. Alrighty. And now we're going to do his mask. So see how plump his skin is? So he has better collagen than me because he's got this Portuguese beautiful background skin. So it's going to be more plumped. He's going to have more collagen in his skin like this. Like if you do this to me, it's like there's nothing underneath there. This is all collagen. Some people will be really mean to themselves and say, oh, it's fat. It's not fat. It's collagen. It's supposed to be there, and it's going to make him age way better than me. He's going to age slower because he's got that more collagen in his skin. So darker Fitzpatricks tend to age better than us, and they look younger for longer, but they do have that opposite side of where we have to be careful because of PIH with them. Okay? For him, let's do, so we're going to do the Lira Clinical Bio Hydrating Mineral Mask. This one smells like grapefruits and like orange Julius. It's pretty amazing. So I have some serum left over from when I did this serum stuff. So I'm just going to put it right in the serum because I'm going to mix it up with the serum. Because why not? It's there. I'm going to use it up. There is one mask that you can't really mix with hyaluronic acid, which is the oxygen mask, and that's used for people with, usually with acne. That one, oh look, he's got a beard hair in my cup. That one, if you mix it with hyaluronic acid, it gets weird. Like the consistency gets weird, then you can't use it. So, this one's a hydrating C mask. This is going to help hydrate, but also help with any hyperpigmentation that he has. And all that penetration that we did with the skin scrubber, we got that spot that we put that lightener on. So that spot, it got penetrated deeper with that, okay? Smoking orange juice. I would put it on his neck normally, I'm not gonna today. We're kind of running a little bit. Yes. So this would be where I would check in with him and just be like, are you in any discomfort right now? Are you in any discomfort right now? Usually because by this time we've done a lot of aggressive things. We might have done a peel, we might have done some green power. And then also some of my masks have a strong tingle to it. So with those people also, you want to warn them before you put it on, and then you want to say, are you in any discomfort before you get up to do your hand-arm massage, so that you're making sure that they're comfortable. Because they might not always tell you. Sometimes they get really silent and then you're like, something's not right. This isn't one of them. This mask does have a little tiny tingle to it. Little tiny tingle is normal, but not an aggressive one. So usually I'll tell people, if I put this mask on them and it's overwhelmingly tingly, then we might want to take it off because the skin might be too sensitized. We'd remove it and then we'd put a different mask on. There's different masks for different things, and I can teach you that along the way, okay? So what we would do is put little goggles on him, and we do his hand-arm massage, which I'll show you another day, and we'd have this sit during the whole thing, and we do one side and then tuck them in like a little burrito, go on the other side, do that, and then when we're done with that, after 10 minutes, I actually just kind of want to sit. So this would generally sit for like 10 minutes.
Okay.
You want your hand arm massage to be 10 to 15 minutes. So usually I'll check my watch, and once it's like, so if it's a 12 appointment, if it's 12:40, I know I need to get my butt moving onto that hand arm massage. That's all things that you're going to learn about timing and things like that. So this is the last towel, because I only do 2 per client, like I told you, because it saves in laundry. And it's not really necessary to keep going. Like in school we learn, you know, you cleanse, you remove it, you tone, you exfoliate, you remove it with a towel, you tone. That back and forth with the toning doesn't make sense to me, because I don't want to keep making the skin's pH go back and forth, back and forth. And it's not that it's a wrong way to do it, I just do it differently. That's just all. If you are a toner person, I feel personally that toners are a money grab. A lot of them, the astringent toners are a lot of times way too strong for people's skin, and they're destroying their barrier with it, and I have to tell them to stop using it. The other thing is hydrating toners are great, but they don't do that much, so it's kind of like you're wasting money in a way.
Right.
I do have a few toners here that I use if, for instance, I have a few masks that dry down and I need to wet them before I remove them. That's when I'll use toner to spray onto the mask, but other than that I don't really use toner. I don't know, it's not, for me, not necessary. Ooh. He's nice and buttery. Alright, so now is my question time, so I would say, do you have any questions for me today? No? Do you have any questions for me today?
I don't think so.
Okay. So now, see how everything I used is now on the paper towel, so I know I need to clean this, and all these. So now I'm going to do moisturizer. I don't use moisturizers in pumps because I swear to God, every pump I've ever used doesn't work right. So I use these jars. So I unscrew it and I take one of these, take a little bit of moisturizer, probably about a quarter size. And this is a gel. This is green tea Vita E moisturizer. This is a gel moisturizer, which is actually why I use it for back bar, because it's almost good for everybody. It won't make the skin oily for oily skin types, and with it being a gel, it kind of melts into the skin. And we're going down on the hair again. And then SPF. So we always use, the green tea Vita E moisturizer was from Dermamed Solutions, which is DM Skincare. I apologize, I didn't say that beforehand. And then the sunscreen we're going to use is the Sonrei See Clearly. So all of my sunscreens here at Skincare by Justine LLC are clear and can be used on any Fitzpatrick or skin type. It is not mineral, but it's gentle enough that I can use it post-peel and it's not going to irritate the person's skin. So this is SPF 50, and so this is a clear gel. See? And I just want to, so I'm going to start on his neck, come down here, because I don't want to put too much around the eyes, because then it can get pushed into his eyes. Especially if people have to wear masks for work, the mask will push the sunscreen into their eyes and it can burn. So no white cast or anything like that. It also has resveratrol in it, which is basically like a vitamin C, but from grapes.
Okay.
It's an antioxidant, so it's great for anti-aging. So this has other ingredients in it that's great for the skin besides the sunscreen. Anybody have questions? Do you have any questions? All right, that's it. So I know this video was a little all over the place. I've been really sick for a while, and this is my first day like actually really back and kind of doing it. But I wanted to just kind of explain what products I use, why I use it, how I use it, so that I can teach Christina, but then also because I had some people leave some comments on my YouTube page asking me to explain what I use and why I use it. So that was the whole point of this video, was to be more educational than my other videos. And I thank you for your patience with me. Thank you, Tavis, and thank you, Christina, for being here. All right, I'll see you guys on the next one.